Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL Podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Welcome back to the DCL Podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little smarter. And you may notice it's not Lake, it's not Steve, it's not Nova, it's me, Christy. And I don't have a co-host today, but I have a guest that I'm very excited about, and I hope that you are all as excited about it as well. So, Lindsay, welcome back.
Hello. This is my third time on this podcast. We are so back, baby. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me yet again.
Yes, third time. We're going to have to get you one of the jackets.
Oh my God, there's jackets?
Yeah, there's not. But there'll be a pin one day, so you can have a pin.
Okay, love that.
A little pin trading pin. Although you can't trade it with anybody. It's not official. Nobody wants your pin.
I wouldn't want to anyways. I would want to keep that safe.
Well, thank you for coming on. I thought we would do a trip report and have a little girl talk about cruising with littles, because now you are an old pro at this, and just learn about your most recent cruise.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So where was your last cruise?
So we were on the Wish for 3 nights, a super quick Wish trip. And it's so funny because 2 years ago, we went on a 3-night cruise, and my husband and I swore up and down that we would never do that again because they are not long enough. And we were like, it's just not it's not worth the effort. And you're getting off when on a 7-night cruise, you'd be getting at your first port. And it's
right.
This feels so silly, but alas, here we are. And the reason that we did this, by the way, is because we had Wish FOMO. When the Wish debuted, my daughter was very young. And also, this is the disclaimer I think I say every time, I'm a cast member. So we get cast member rates, and it's all space available. So naturally, we're always just waiting for a cast member rate to pop up. And of course, the Wish being the new ship was very popular. So it didn't pop up for a very long time. And they really just started popping up this year for cast members to book. Yeah. And so we were really excited about it when it dropped. And I was like, oh, but it's 3 nights. We swore we never would. And it was truly just because we had Wish FOMO and we just wanted to see the ship. We literally were we're here to see the ship. We did not get off the ship until it was time to exit. Didn't get off at Castaway. Didn't get off at NASA. We were there for the ship. So that was the sole reason for this trip.
I love it. And so we'll talk about your Castaway day, because that must have produced a little bit lighter crowds.
Very much so. It kind of made me question all things Castaway anytime we go there ever again, because we've been so many times and it's the same Castaway that it always is. And this is the first time we stayed on the ship the whole day at Castaway, and it really made me question all my life's decisions, because it was pretty great.
That's awesome. But you'll see when your daughters get older that you will want Castaway time.
I know we will. I say this now, but I know that as they get older, they'll want to go swim in the ocean. So,
well, and even
making the ship on Castaway Day now while they're really young, while we can.
Right, while they're eating sand still. So,
correct. Yes. Yeah, I was everybody's oh, you're not going to get off the ship at Castaway. And I was I have a toddler that doesn't know how to walk yet. She's a very late bloomer in the walking. She's still not walking at 16 months old. And this trip was when she was 14 months old. So I was a kid crawling in sand that can't walk. It's just, that sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like a nightmare. So
yeah, it sounds like effort. And the ship is less effort. Okay, so you already indicated that you had a 14-month-old.
Yep. And then my daughter was a month shy of turning 3, my oldest. So 2 toddlers, full-blown toddlers.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some packing tips. We both have a little bit of a time constraint tonight, so we're going to bang it out. But I want to definitely give people some tips for cruising with little kids, but then also just talk about the ship, because she's beautiful. And
yes,
let's start there for a second. So you're from Central Florida, so you drove super easy, no big deal.
Yep.
But what did you think when you saw her?
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. It's so funny because not only did the cast rates not really start to drop for us until a good year, maybe a year and a half ago, but we also had a baby in 2023. So even if there were a few that dropped, it was we can't book because our youngest wasn't 6 months old yet. So we really were We felt like we were the last to ever see this ship. And pulling up that day was just like,
Mm.
oh, to see the Aqua Mouse, just the deck looks different. She doesn't necessarily look bigger, but she looks grander in a way
Mhm.
from the outside. And like walking in, it's just so sleek and modern. And like the whites with the blues, it's all very like Cinderella and magical. And I was like, oh, this is so, so gorgeous. Like straight out of the gate, we were like, yeah, this ship is stunning. Like, and it was interesting because, the Wish got mixed reviews when it first
Yep.
came out. And that was also part of the reason my husband and I were like, we want to make our own decision on this. Like,
Yeah.
I want to form my own opinions. And not to get like too deep too quickly, but we both like walked off the ship, like saying that we would 100% go again. If the Wish does 7-night itineraries, I wouldn't hesitate. Like, yeah, there were certain things where I was like, this is interesting the way that this is laid out. But at the end of the day, like, nothing that was a deal breaker,
Yeah.
like it was still a really stunning ship that I would 100% cruise on again.
And I love the toddler space. It is part of the kids club and they commandeer it too because of the way they have the kids clubs set up where they
Yes.
can take a room and decide, which group of children get. So I
Brilliant.
love that little playroom.
Yeah, we spent like hours in there and
Yeah.
during the open houses, we just went and I know that the girls probably went in when they were in the nursery a few times as well. But like both of our kids loved it. It was just like so easy and it's just so nice to have a space to just like let them go
Right.
and know that they're not going to leave because other than that it's just like letting a 2 to 3-year-old sprint the ship, which is not fun all the time.
Right. Let's stick with the ship for just
Yeah.
to start. What other highlights of the ship do you think you guys had?
Oh my goodness, so many.
And we'll talk about dining separately.
Okay, let's talk dining separately. We didn't mind the placement of some of the like adult lounges, like Nightingales. I didn't mind that being right off of the like atrium. A lot of people were very like, oh, I wish it was secluded, like the old. And I do like that it's like adult only areas on the other
Mhm.
ships. I do enjoy that. But again, this wasn't a deal breaker. Like right next to the bayou, being able to kind of like see all those different things. Hyperspace Lounge was right there. My husband is funny. He thinks that Hyperspace Lounge should actually be traded places with Triton's Lounge, which I don't disagree with. Triton Lounge is like
Yes.
very like hidden. Like we barely went in there. I peeked my head in to see it and we didn't spend any other time in there. It was very like off the beaten path. And I feel like that's what Hyperspace Lounge should be because it's like that secret, like speakeasy style type of moment.
But I just thought of this about Tritons. If people have toddlers and that space isn't being used, that is a great
Yeah.
toddler play place
Yep.
because it has all those small chairs.
Yes. And I think that would have been better, like closer to the midship off of that atrium, like right there, kind of in the midst of all the chaos. But yeah, overall, I did not mind the layout in that regard. But we went to oh my God, what is it called? The Heroes Center at
The
the back.
Hero Zone.
Yes, Hero Zone. Oh, I was so disappointed that my daughter was not tall enough for that inflatable because they had the inflatable up and it was so cool. But like we taught her how to play foosball up there. Like we spent so much time just like roaming around and seeing everything. And that was an incredible addition, like 10 out of 10. We even walked into Edge and it's just like so modern and like it's just really nice to see Disney coming out with ships in current day and keeping up with like the technology of kids,
Right.
because even like the fantasy that debuted in what 2012.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, that's 12 years ago. Technology, the way that kids interact and are entertained has completely shifted in 12 years. So like we're retrofitting the ships to like match that now. And it's really nice to see it as like initial ideas, the way that the ship is built. The amount of outlets on this ship, by the way,
right.
10 out of 10. So nice that that is like kept in mind. I hope that like in dry docks, the other ships can get to that at some point. But like, yeah, I love this ship. We really enjoyed Nightingales. We went there multiple times. I liked the Hero Zone. I also really loved the promenade in the front. I think it's up on deck 6. We're the
Right,
type
where
of
you can walk
people-
around.
Yeah, we're the type of people that love to like be up and watch the ship leave port on day 1 after sail away. And so like we went like looking for that and it was so beautiful out there. It was really, really nice.
But how did you navigate that with little kids, did you have strollers? Did you carry them up the stairs? Because
We had one stroller. My oldest
Okay.
walked. And by walked, I mean forced my mother with a bum knee to carry her everywhere. That was fun. Which my mom and dad came on this trip, by the way. This
Okay.
was our first cruise that we actually had help with two little kids. So that was also nice. Extra hands was great. But we did have a stroller for Aurelia, my youngest. And we are the type of people where we're like, stairs? We don't care. Just like you take the front, I take the back, and we hike her up. Like it's just
perfect.
that's how we did it.
Okay. All right. I was wondering how that works.
It's just a little umbrella stroller, so it's not like super heavy.
And then what type of cabin did you book?
We had a deluxe family ocean view veranda.
Oh, so a little bit larger.
Yes, which was great. And we also had a room next to my parents. So we had the conjoined rooms. But one thing about the room that I will share that's really interesting, at least we found it interesting, is with the conjoined rooms, we were always so used to the door being closer to like the actual bed side of the room. The
Oh,
conjoined door was closer to the veranda door, like the balcony.
which is an issue.
Which is an issue when you have kids that you just put to
Are
sleep and you're trying to
sleeping.
sneak out to the balcony to have a glass of wine at the end of the night. So it was a lot more tiptoeing than anticipated. We also there was one night where my parents sat in the room with the kids and let my husband and I go out for a drink and like go
Yeah.
see the lounges. And when we came back in, I was like, shoot, how are we going to do this? We're going to have to like come through and like let you know we're there. This is awkward with the setup. And my mom was like, just take my room key. I'm not going anywhere. So I literally took hers with me. And then we let ourselves back in through my parents' room to be like, we're here, we're home, good night, shutting doors. But it definitely made the layout a little bit strange with conjoined rooms. But overall, like the rooms seemed huge. They were beautiful. The decorations were beautiful. Again, just sleek, light, lovely. Just that's my only complaint was the placement of the conjoining door, but first world problem.
And the glass door in the bathroom that opens
Yes.
into the shower.
Oh my gosh. I was like, is this a 5-star hotel? What is happening? It was gorgeous. I was like, kids, do you want to take a bath every day just so we can continue to use this because it's fun? It's so nice.
So did you have one pack and play and one in the bed?
Correct. Yeah, we had one in the pack and play, and then we had Liliana, my oldest, was in the couch bed. There was a Murphy in ours, but we didn't use the Murphy. We just used the couch fold, and then they brought like the little bed rail that you can
Oh,
request.
yep. Perfect.
And then she just sleeps there. She sleeps in a queen bed herself when she's at home. So this was a downgrade for her. She's like, what is this?
She had to get cozier.
Yeah.
And then, okay, another question I have about the ship is the splash pad. Did you love it so much?
Yes. I loved it. Two
It's-
slides. What could
Yeah.
be better? It was so
Right.
great. And that we actually did on Castaway Day, which I think was like the most brilliant thing because I have a video where like we were in that area. I love that there's so much seating right there. There was also like there was another little like waterfall kiddie pool that like the diaper kids can't go in, but like my oldest could because she's potty trained. And so like my parents were like sunbathing in there while we were like in the splash pad with the kids. It was just really lovely, all the seating. And I have this video where I'm like panning around and it's empty because we went at open time. It was like 9 or 9:30 a.m. until like 11:30 when the kids needed to eat lunch on Castaway Day when everybody else was getting off the ship. And I think we were one of 3 families in there. It was delightful. 10 out of 10. And then also that was the day where we took advantage of the Aqua Mouse. So we took turns as the adults of like, okay, mom and dad, you go ride the Aqua Mouse. We'll watch the kids. When you come back, we'll swap out. And that was like, we barely waited for the Aqua Mouse. I think they actually let us go again because there was no one in line. And then later that day, when people came back on the ship, it was like a 45-minute wait.
Yeah, I think that's the smart move. And even when it is funny, when the Wish first debuted, so many of us didn't actually get off at the beginning of Castaway. Everybody stayed on the ship. So it still was sort of busy because people were like, we have to see it. But now everybody's back. They've seen it.
Exactly.
Not everybody, but you know.
And these 3-night cruises also attract a lot of first-time cruisers.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. Which, by the way, if you're a first-time cruiser, don't do 3 nights. You're gonna
do a
regret
3
it.
night.
You're gonna be like, what the heck I could have just paid an extra whatever amount of money and done 4 more of these nights. Like go do a minimum 4.
Yes.
But like even 4 is not enough for me.
I agree. And also, while we're giving first-timer tips, I really just think you should not plan your first cruise during September or October.
Yes.
Because hurricane season is real and they cancel or alter sailings, and you've prepared so much. Now,
Yes.
and not to say that like when Lindsay and I would take a 3-night cruise, we don't prepare, but it's not a months and months long process.
No.
We've sort of forgotten that we've booked it or we've just booked it 2 weeks ago and we're
Yep.
packing sometimes the morning we leave to go to the ship. So,
Uh-huh.
but you
Yep.
don't need that stress as a first time
No.
cruiser,
I always say, like, I can't imagine having to like have the stress of flying
right?
on top of going on a cruise. Like, that's a lot. I don't know how some of y'all do it. I admire you. I really do. But yeah, I agree. Like, hurricane season is very real, and it is a real consideration
Yeah.
to
So
take.
just something to
Yeah.
keep in mind. And, I remember I used to go Labor Day cruise with my son when we lived out of state,
Yeah.
and we would fly in, but it was because his daycare closed. And we
Mhm.
were like, we have to do something with him for this long weekend. So
Yep.
let's just go on a cruise. Like when he
Yep.
was 3 and 4, and it was just more effort, right?
Yep.
So we could go on a cruise. He could have fun. We could have fun. Everybody could like enjoy. And it wasn't a
Absolutely.
big deal because it was already our 6th or 8th or whatever it
Right.
was cruise at that point.
But if it's your first one, don't risk it.
That's what I say too. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with you get on board. She's gorgeous. Where did you go eat?
We went to Marceline Market.
Okay. What did you think of that choice?
It was interesting. I didn't love it. I just in general didn't love Marceline Market. I think we actually only dined there twice. That was one part of the ship where the layout is very bizarre for me. I was like, why am I'm consistently in a hallway? Like where
It's
I don't understand.
very narrow.
Very narrow. It felt like the dining area had less space than the cabanas of the other ships,
I have
even
a
like the Magic and Wonder.
I have a pro tip though for dining.
Okay.
And this Amber, who does the good parts of our social media, gave us this tip. So when you walk in Marceline Market, you wash your hands.
Yep.
You do a U-turn and basically go into the side rooms all the way into the back. There's one on each side of the restaurant. And it's like the very end, opposite of the food. There's rooms. There's 2 rooms.
I
There's
realized those
never
went all the way
anybody in that
back.
second room. Mm-hmm.
That's a good tip. Very good tip.
So, and when we were on the cruise with a larger party, that used to be our like holding place. That's where we
Mhm.
always were there, right? So
Yep.
anytime anybody was going to meet for breakfast or lunch or whatever, even if we ate at Festival of Foods, is it called that? I think
Yes, I
call
think
it.
so. I think you got that right.
Okay. So even if we were eating there, then we could take the food and we do the turnaround
Mm-hmm.
and sit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like quiet and spacious and less crazy. So
Yes,
something,
that's a great tip. I will be taking that tip next time I go. Thank you for that. I should have listened to this podcast before I went.
you definitely should have. No, it's okay. But yes. Okay. So Marceline Market.
Yeah,
And then,
it was fine.
yeah.
I
Did you eat at Festival of Foods at all?
Girl, yes. We ate the barbecue 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the last day, I had Donald's Cantina on Castaway Day because like I was waiting. I planned my time to have Donald's Cantina because so many of my friends are like, you must.
Right.
And when I tell you, I had regrets because I was like, I would have rather eaten this for dinner than 2 out of the 3 of the meals that I had in the dining room. So,
okay. So that'll be the next place. But
but
yes,
I will
it
say,
is
my husband and
good.
I had this moment of like, okay, we hear it's coming to the Dream, I think, in Dry Dock.
Yeah, so the Dream is getting Ramones because they're sticking with the Cars
Sure.
theme. But yes, it is
But I will
there,
say, like, we had this moment of like, as our kids get older and all they want to do is stay at the pool, why
right?
don't we just stay at the pool and we eat this for dinner as many nights as we want to and just not go to the dining? We've seen it a million times. Like,
Yep. And
yeah.
I've done that. So I think the Marvel show, and I want your opinion, is
Mhm.
clever. I'll say that
Mhm.
every time. But like, I don't need to go to Marvel every time, but my son does. So my
Mhm.
husband enjoys Marvel. He takes my son, and I go to Festival of Foods and eat at Donald's Cantina. Just you have to note it closes at 6. Which
Correct.
Disney
That was the
needs to
one
do
thing I was
something
like,
about
what
that.
the heck? We needed till at least 7.
Right. Right. Because what if you want second
Yes.
Donald's Cantina dinner?
We almost
snack?
did. My dad and I were like, let's go get some Donald's Cantina after dinner. Couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah, that was a bummer. But
Yeah. So, okay, you said 2 out of the 3 restaurants.
Okay, do we want to talk restaurants now?
Yes, I have a guess as to which your favorite was.
Go ahead.
It had to be 1923.
Of course. And we had it on the first night, so it really set us up for success.
Failure.
Well, maybe. No, it was fine. It was delicious and lovely, and like I have no complaints. 1923 was a knockout.
There's all
of it.
The best food, in my opinion, is in that restaurant. Like,
yeah, phenomenal.
That menu is loaded.
Yep, every single thing we had was amazing. Second night we were at Marvel, and I will tell you, I'm going to give you a hot take on this. I didn't hate the Marvel show. I think it was hard to follow along with, but I also like live in the world of a 3-year-old brain with my oldest, where she didn't care what the show was about. She just liked the action and the fact that, spoiler alert, Spider-Man goes sprinting through. Like, it was really engaging for her. Yeah. The whole like, hurry, click the button with the things that are on the table, like all of that. For that age child, I was here for it. The food was, I'm gonna give this like the number 2 spot for me in terms of food. It was good, fine. I don't even remember what I got because I guess it wasn't that memorable, but I do remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, this was fine. Like, I think actually my entree was pretty good. Actually, I would look forward to eating here again. Which brings us to night 3 in the frozen dining.
So let's start with, where was your seat? Because
it does make a difference. And I had heard that makes a difference. And our seat was okay. So like the stage is in the middle, and then they have like tons of, we'll call it like section 1 that goes like around the stage. And then they have the walkway in between. And then section 2 that's like beyond the walkway, right? So we were section 2, but we were right next to the walkway. Like right there on the end. My daughter was like on the end seat to be able to like see the show. There's so many large pillars in that space that like we still had a little bit of a blocked view, which I thought was just interesting from the standpoint of the layout of that anyways. And, I also was comparing it a lot to like, I've seen the Tangled show. I've seen the Tiana's Dining on the Wonder. Like, they were just very different vibes. And I think it just has to do with the layout, maybe the smaller dining space, but this just felt so massive and so loud. There was clearly plot happening to like the show, this like dinner theater style show that was occurring. I could not hear a dang thing. And I was trying to, like, I wanted the plot. I wanted to be able to like tell my daughter what was happening and like explain to her. And I just like, the sound in there was not great. There was people talking on top of it. Like, overall, it was just like the show aspect fell very flat for me, which I was very disappointed about because it's Frozen. And like, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and that would have been great. They do like the parade around, and she was living for that. Like, got out of her seat, was high-fiving the servers as they went around. Like, that was very interactive, and I enjoyed that. Food-wise at that restaurant, I got the Elsa scallops. I remember that. It's like the pot pie scallops. That was good. My dad is somebody who only like solely eats seared scallops. So when he learned that they were baked and in a pot pie, he was like, but he tried it and loved it. So good. We're giving the scallops a great review. I had the prime rib. It was a standard prime rib. It was fine, but there was nothing else on the menu that like I was desperately needing to order. That was the one place, probably the only restaurant on a Disney cruise ship where I ordered an appetizer and my entree, and that's it. No salad, no soup, no second appetizer, no second entree. Like, you go on a Disney cruise and you eat honey. I was like, no, I'll just have these 2 things and I'll be fine. In the hopes that I could go back to Donald's Cantina, which was a fail. But regardless, the menu didn't excite me at all. So that was a little disappointing. I would hope to see some changes to that in the future, but you never know. But it was okay.
I could see what they were doing there, but it's not my favorite menu either. And I'm curious. I can't wait to see what the footprint on the treasure is like, and if they have pushed back some of the serving stations so they're not quite in the middle blocking the show, and if the columns are a little bit smaller, just some of that.
And I will also say too, I went on this ship like, oh, new menus, new restaurants, new menus. I'm so excited to try these. And we did, right? And everything's fine. And then I went back and started looking at pictures from some of my other cruises. And I was like, the Frozen night on the Wonder had the scallops pot pie. And I think they were called Elsa's scallop. I've had this before. I have a photo of it on my phone, So it was like, oh, I think I got a little bamboozled into thinking it was like truly new. And I can't blame like work smarter, not harder, right? Like
Right.
what works somewhere else on a specialty night and make it a standard menu item on this new, perfectly themed, like it all makes sense that they would do that. I just was thinking differently, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Okay. Specialty dining. Did you guys do any?
We did Paulo brunch because this was my first platinum and
Yay.
which was so great. I actually discovered that the free Paulo is technically only supposed to be dinner. So
Wait.
that's what it says online. Like when you look at the platinum dining or like the platinum perks or whatever, it says Paulo dinner specifically.
Interesting.
And I panicked.
I wonder if that's
I don't know, but we had brunch booked, so we called. Like I called again, a cast member. I'm a guest when I go on Disney Cruise, right? I called Disney Cruise on and I'm like, am I allowed to use it for that? And they're like, it'll be up to the discretion of the maitre d' at Paulo. But the maitre d' at Paulo was like, yeah, you're fine. Like it's a 3-night cruise. We're not going to expect you to use it for dinner. Like you're good. So it was interesting.
Okay, I have to start putting that out there. So that's new if that is the case. And we use it.
I specifically looked it up and it said dinner. And I was like, oh. And I had a feeling they would allow for the brunch because the brunch is technically cheaper. So like if you're gonna give me something for free and I want the cheaper option, why would you say no? But also understanding that the brunch is only one day, the 3-day sailing. They only offer it on Nassau Day. So I was like, ooh, will they? I don't know. They could be making money off other people if they're sold out when I'm getting it for free, but they allowed it. So yeah, interesting. Something to look into. But yes, we did Paulo and it was lovely. Absolutely lovely. We had the best dessert of our lives.
What'd you get?
Oh, my God. We didn't order it. So I have a hard time remembering the name of it. I'm going to have to find it for you. And like, I'll send you a picture when you post this. Go to the Instagram for DCL Podcast. I will make sure that there's a picture of this dessert included. But our server brought it and was like, you have to try this. And we're like, okay. But it essentially looked sort of like a mascarpone cream with like fresh fruit.
But it was the flat one, right? Like the plate or whatever, not the little glass.
No. It was flat, like in a bowl. And it was the most like light, refreshing, perfectly sweet. My husband and I were like, that was the highlight of the meal. Like, oh, sorry, I have things dinging. We were like, that was truly the highlight of the meal. Like it was so delicious. We will get that every time now.
Nice. I always like to hear everybody has like different opinions as to what their favorite meal is. Okay. Entertainment. Please tell me you went to Seize the Adventure.
Of course. Yes. And that was the best show. Like that was the best. And it was like, why is this only like 24, 28 minutes long, whatever the heck it was. And you know, it was interesting. We had this conversation because we skipped Aladdin because we've seen that on other ships, but we went to Little Mermaid because it's the new one. And I'm like, I got to see the headlining show. And my 3-year-old got bored during Little Mermaid, and she loves Little Mermaid. Like she's being her for Halloween this year. So I said to him, I said, you know, I think with like the little kids, the attention span is so short that like these quick pops of like, this movie's coming out. Now these characters, now this other movie's represented, like all the beep, beep, pop, pop of those like variety show type of Seize the Adventure style shows is so great for younger kids. Whereas like,
and for people with ADD.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Same. And when you go to like the shows that actually have a plot, it goes a little slow. Despite the fact that it's your favorite princess and you're being her for Halloween, my daughter was like, time's up. Are we done? And those are the ones that last an hour. Whereas the, like, I keep calling them variety shows. That's not the right term, but you know what I mean? Like where they have, that was like the shorter one. And I'm like, I wish that was swapped. You know, I would have liked a condensed little version of the Little Mermaid and then a longer version where like, out comes Toy Story, out comes Tiana, out comes Cinderella. Like that was amazing. So good.
So good.
I love it.
And then you and your husband did adult only, perusing. You went out. Did you just go out for one night?
We went out 2 nights. So the first night we put the kids in the nursery, and then we went out with my parents and my aunt and uncle. I haven't mentioned that yet. Shout out to my aunt and uncle who literally crashed our trip. So funny. They booked Tuesday and we sailed on Friday and then surprised us when we got on the ship. Except they didn't because they joined the Facebook group. And that morning I checked the Facebook group and saw that they were members. And I texted my mother and I was like, don't BS me. Is my aunt and uncle coming on this trip? And she was like, yeah. So anyways, so we did an adult only night. The first night, the 6 of us went out. We hit Nightingales. We went to a few other places, but that was really, really nice. I think we actually ended up at Currents to end the evening before we picked up the kids, which was very random, like up on deck 12 or 13. But they just love to like be outdoors and like see the ship like moving despite the fact that it's pitch black dark. So that's where we ended up. And then the second night was pirate night. And so we like let our oldest stay up for pirate night, put our youngest back into the nursery. That was also the night of the Little Mermaid show. So it was like Lily's night out. Like she got to do all the big girl things. She loves pirates, eats them up. Got to see the fireworks. She was enamored. All of that was great. And then my husband and I took the kids, and my parents went out with my aunt and uncle. Third night, it was reversed. So on the last night, they sat with the kids in the room, and then my husband and I went out alone, and we hit up every single place that we possibly could. Like we did Nightingales, we did hyperspace that day. I think we did the Bayou. Oh, we went back up to the Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should have spent night one in the Rose. It was gorgeous. And we got to see somebody order the signature drink where they like smoke it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool, very fancy, very $52 worth that I didn't order. But it was nice to see somebody else order it, you know? But yeah, it was great. We loved all the adult areas. Like everything was wonderful. Hyperspace was very interesting. We're not Star Wars people, but I was like, you got to go. You got to get the experience. The drinks were so much fun, like phenomenal with the drinks. It wasn't super crowded when we were in there, so ambiance was like a little off, but you know, that we just like bebop around. We hit one place, hit the next, so we didn't mind.
What do you think your favorite lounge on the Wish is?
Nightingales.
Yeah.
We love a piano bar. Like there's just something about a Disney cruise and a piano bar that just like they meld together in our world. We also like named our second child after a moment in a Disney Cruise Line piano bar on the Wonder. So those are like they just feel elegant and like feels very like high class, and you're just sitting with your adult beverage and this beautiful glass and this beautiful lounge with this beautiful music, and it's just so like relaxing. That's totally our vibe.
Oh, I love that. Okay, how did Lily do in the nursery as an almost 3-year-old?
You know, she didn't love it. I'll be honest. The first day she was like, oh, okay. We kept saying, we're going to go to the play place. Let's go to the play place. And she's like, sure, let's go to the play place. And then she realized we were leaving, and that was a little devastating. And then, you know, you bring her there a second time and she's like, I'm on to you. I know what this is. You're leaving. And so like the meltdown ensues while you're checking them in. But I will say like this trip didn't like throw them there just to do it. We tried to do it strategically, which was during sleep times. So like that first night when we went out adults, it was bedtime, and we told them like, she can stay up a little bit, but like try to get her to sleep. So both of them like went and slept for 2 hours while we got adult time, and it was their bedtime anyways. They would have been sleeping in the room. And then the other time that we did it was on Castaway Day during their nap time. So we gave ourselves like 3 hours of adult only time in the middle of the day and planned it around their nap time. So we just sent them there to literally take their naps so that they wouldn't be like, I miss mommy. Like, oh, where's mom? Like, it was just, it's time to sleep. And our kids are great sleepers. Thank goodness. We knew they would sleep. And they both went and took 2.5-hour naps. And then we picked them up a half hour later, and all was groovy.
Do they have cots or?
Yes. They do, which I didn't realize. I thought Lily was like going to be in a crib and she was going to be like, what is this? I'm not a baby anymore. But when we went to pick them up, actually both of my kids were on cots.
Got to be easier to get the kids in and out of.
Yeah. Well, and also my kids sleep on cots at daycare. So I think that was more familiar for both of them to like take a little snooze on in the middle of the day.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So look at us. We're so efficient today.
How about it?
Have we missed anything?
We didn't talk Halloween.
Duh. Okay. So this was a Halloween on the High Seas. This is actually the first Halloween on the High Seas.
First one of the season.
Cruise. What did you participate in? Did you see the tree lighting?
We like sort of went past it. Like we tried to stop and see it, but it was very crowded and we got there late, and I was like, oh, look, they're lighting the tree, Lily. And my daughter loves Halloween. Big spooky girl over here. So like she got to see it kind of lighting up, and we enjoyed like going back to like see I think, do the characters change on the pumpkins up on the tree? I don't know if they do, but maybe I was dreaming it, because at one point I swore it was like all Frozen characters, and then I went back another time. I could be making this up, but anyways, she loved seeing the characters up on the tree. And then we did the trick-or-treating, which was a hot mess on the first cruise on Forge.
I think it's a hot mess regardless of which.
I just like want that whole thing to be redone personally. Yeah. But people were mad. We did 2 years ago, we did Halloween on the High Seas on the Fantasy, and this was our second one doing it on the Wish. And the way that they did the trick-or-treating was much different. So on the fantasy, and this could have changed on the fantasy since then, but 2 years ago, we were given a bag and then there were stations and everybody kind of like, it was like a carousel. Like everybody walked in a
Yeah.
circle and they gave you candy in the bag. And then this time around, they pre-filled the bags and just handed you a bag of candy and that was it.
And then everybody's everywhere.
Everybody's everywhere. And they ran out and like
No.
children didn't get them. I think there were like adults going to each station getting a bag and people were mad. We got our bags. My parents were like, I'm going to take one for our other grandchildren at home. And like that, we're good. Like we just took some for the kids, you know, but like it was interesting because it wasn't really trick or treating. It was more like candy collection.
Right.
I'm like, I just wish that it was like all over the ship and there were different stations that you could like run around to. Like that's what I always thought it was going to be before I ever went on a Halloween on the high seas. And it always just falls a little flat for me, but it's fine. The kids love candy and they get their candy and they get to dress up. We went to like the little dance party, like the little deck party thing that they had for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun just to like see everybody in their costumes and all of that. But overall, I feel like the Halloween festivities are cool, but like I said, some of them fall a little bit flat for me. And I always give that feedback in my comment card. I'm like, we can do better.
Good. You know what we forgot to talk about too? You mentioned that you went to the Pirate Parlay.
Yeah.
And so what did you think of this pirate party versus on the other ships?
Okay, so I haven't seen a pirate party on the other ship in probably 3 years since having kids.
Okay.
But I've been to them before and I've always loved them. This one was really cool. Like the band, like, oh my God, it was a freaking party. My dad loved it. My dad's a musician. So he was like grooving and they're playing like modern songs, like not just Disney or piratey type of stuff. Like it was wild. And the interesting thing about this was we got there a little bit late. And so we ended up on deck 12. So we were like planning to be on the balcony on the side of the ship where I know the fireworks go off, you know, but we got there and they like had ropes up and stuff. So we kind of ended up like behind the stage on deck 12, which happened to be right next to the Mickey smokestack where all of them come out. So we had like front row seats to like Jack Sparrow, like walking back and forth. And like when they would come out with the big flags, they would like run right past my daughter. She was loving it. Like they're giving her high fives. It was a very like, we didn't see the show from straight on, but it was a very cool place to be. And then we had a fantastic view of the fireworks from right there. So it was kind of a happy accident, but that show was jamming. So much fun.
Yeah, we love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Halloween on High Seas. Now, I think we sort of covered all the major elements.
Yeah, I think so. I think the only thing that I didn't talk was we did go to the adult only pool area. We did that during children nap time on Castaway Day. Again, 10 out of 10 recommend because we were like one of 5 other parties back there and everybody complains about it being too small and too cramped and so on and so forth. And we did not have that problem because
nobody was there.
Everybody was on Castaway. It was noon and it was lunchtime at Cookies and Cookies too. And we were in the pool drinking margaritas and it was really delightful. The one thing I'll say about this ship though is we are big fans of the Cove Bar and the Cove Bar was it felt like an afterthought on this ship, understanding that there's more cafe opportunities on this ship, which we did appreciate and did enjoy. But there's something so special about the Cove Bar for us personally that we were like, oh, it's like the worst of the 5, but it was fine. Overall, we didn't mind the size because we played our cards right in terms of the adult only area in the back. So, and it's beautiful. The infinity pool, like, oh my God, it's gorgeous.
All right, good. I like that different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else you can think of?
I don't think so.
So one of Lake's, and we're going to talk about kids stuff in a minute, but one of Lake's favorite questions is, do you have any notable cast member or did you have any notable cast member experiences the cruise?
Yes. We met this gentleman. Oh my God, his name is escaping me now, but we put it on our comment card. Do not fret. We met him in line to meet Belle one day when we were trying to burn time and find something for our 3-year-old to do. Belle was meeting and greeting. So we went to go meet her. We were last in line and he was like the cast member to cut off the line. He sat there and chatted with us. He'd worked at Disneyland and just like decided to do the cruising life for a little bit. He was like 42 years old. He looked younger than me, bless him. He was just like telling us his whole life story and he was so sweet. And then he was one of those that like every time that we saw him again, he like remembered us and like
Hmm.
said hello to our daughter. And it's just like, those are the moments on a Disney cruise that like, that's what makes a Disney cruise so memorable. The same way that it makes Walt Disney World memorable. Like even
Right.
as a cast member, like I, by the way, all my opinions are my own, not of the company. I didn't give that disclaimer at the beginning, but you know, it's means even more to us, I think, being cast members to be on the receiving end of that a lot of times.
Yeah.
And when you have those like little connections that just like last through the whole duration of your cruise, like that one, it's the Disney difference. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So, okay, you have toddlers and 2 of them.
Yep.
Very tiring. I'm tired for you. So, what are some Disney cruise tips that you have besides bringing all of the relatives with you or cruising with toddlers and or babies?
All right. My biggest tip, if you have milk drinkers like me, is to put your card that is in the desk drawer for continental breakfast delivery. Put that on the
Why
door
did
the
we
first
never
night.
do this?
I don't know. I do it every single cruise on the very first night. And I check like 2% milk or 1%. I think they have whatever. My kids don't know the difference. I check it, but then I'll do like times 6. And they literally will bring you 6 cartons of milk the next morning. And then I keep them in the fridge and I have them every morning for the rest of the cruise when my child wakes up and goes, I need milk. Boom, we got it right there. Sometimes they like it before bed. We just have big milk drinkers. So if you have big milk drinkers,
Mhm.
you can do it with juice, I think, as well. You can get
Yeah.
apple juice delivered as well. So if you like need it to just have in the room, order it from Continental Breakfast the first night into the second morning. And like you've got it set. And if you need to order more, then you just put another tag out on the door. Like for a 7-night cruise, I think I do it 2 or 3 times. That's like one of my number one tips. Also,
You know what?
go ahead.
You know what we do for milk is, and we still will, my son still drinks milk as an 11-year-old, but
Hmm?
we'll also get those Horizon shelf stable milks
Sure.
and bring those
Smart.
on trips. Like we just brought some when we did our hotel stay this past weekend.
Yeah.
We'll just bring them. And the one thing though, I'll note to people is just watch the temperature of those
Mhm.
fridges because technically on the Wish, those are coolers and
Good point.
refrigerators.
Yep.
So you can get though a bag of ice that they would put like a wine bottle in for delivery. You can get
Yep.
like a wine bag of ice delivered and you can put that in your fridge. And we use that to keep our milk cold before in our
Yeah,
fridge colder.
that's a good point. I think that they have like technically like the freezer part of it. So I always put it like higher up. So it's like as cold as it can get. But
And
yeah, that's a great point.
sometimes that fridge is very cold. And then
Mhm.
sometimes it's like
Yeah, it's
you
just
go
like a
to,
hotel room, right? You don't know what
yep,
you get with those. Yeah.
exactly. Okay. So that's a good tip.
Yeah. Other tip I would say is just like curb your expectations. Truly. I
Mhm.
hear so many people like I post all the time on Instagram about Disney cruises. So I get people in my DMs all the time asking specifically about like, how do I do this with their schedule and their nap times and their bedtimes and da 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 da. And my best advice is to be as flexible as you can. Bedtimes are at minimum an hour later for us on a Disney cruise. It
Mhm.
just is what it is because like you get done with dinner sometimes at 7 o'clock, and that's usually like bath bottle bed for us.
Right.
And that's just not happening on a Disney cruise. And quite frankly, you paid for this and you deserve to enjoy it a little bit as well and like get a little bit out of it. So just curb your expectations. If they go to bed an hour later the first 2 nights, they adjust for the rest of the cruise to going to bed an hour later. So just allow yourself a little bit of grace if your schedule isn't perfect when it comes to toddlers. Embrace stroller naps if you can. If you have a toddler that doesn't, like, fear not, the room service is amazing. And if you need to plop it in the room, bring a bottle of wine, especially if you have a veranda, and enjoy a little like alone time when you're at sea or something in port on your veranda while your kid naps. Like it is a-okay. You just make it work.
Right. And adults can take a nap too. And they
Heck
probably
yeah.
don't get that all the time
Hello.
with
Absolutely.
responsibilities.
Yep.
Okay. I like it.
Yep. And then the last one I'll say is if you have bottle fed babies or just babies that use bottles still, I found this thing on Amazon that is a portable bottle brush contraption that is like my
Mm-hmm.
must have now on cruise ships. And it like comes out and you like put together the bottle brush. It has like the smaller bristle brushes. It has a little thing where you can put some like baby dish soap in there. And then it also has like a little drying rack, like the top becomes a drying rack, and it's all very compact. So it sits like perfectly right on the shelf of like, or shelf isn't the right word, right on the vanity, if you will,
Yeah.
next to the sink in the bathroom. And it's just like so compact and so easy to travel with. And it like folds up and it's like the size of a small like Tervis water bottle. It's the best thing ever. Highly recommend it. And I bought it on Amazon.
Nice. And my tip in that vein is disposable bibs.
Yeah.
If you have toddlers, and I am all for saving the environment, but when you are with toddlers traveling, you are in survival mode.
Survival mode.
So you have to save the environment in other areas.
Correct.
So disposable bib, like even then we used reusable napkins in our house. We still do to this day.
Yeah.
But I would use a disposable bib when we travel because you can't keep up. And then you can take them and you can throw them away once they get their spaghetti sauce all over it and they're not ruining their clothes. So
my version of the disposable bib tip is the disposable like sticky placemats.
Yes.
That you can put down. We do that at the Festival of Foods at like Cabanas/Marshland Market. They're so nice. You just like stick them down. And then that way you don't have to worry about your kid like grabbing these like giant plates. You don't have to bring the like silicone plates or whatever you use at home. You don't have to worry about lugging all that. Just bring the placemat, cut up the food, and put it right there on the placemat. You don't have to clean the table. It's just so nice, like wrap it up and go. And it doesn't really leave sticky residue on the table at all. It's really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, and also when my son was little, he did like to eat with a fork or a spoon if it was one of those types of meals. So we would bring our own spoon.
That's a great point.
Because
they can't handle the big ones. Yeah.
Disney doesn't have little ones, and they don't always have salad forks. So they'll have a salad fork. Do they even have salad forks in the dining room? I don't even know now. Yeah, I think they just give you another full-size fork. So bring smaller silverware if your kids need it. Mine needed it. So
that's a great tip.
Yeah. And then they do still allow checking out. And I think we had a guest on. I don't think that episode is aired yet, but you have to pay a deposit, but you can check out an umbrella stroller, bottle sanitizer.
Yes.
Your cabin.
A bottle sanitizer, a bottle warmer. You can request ahead of time for your pack and play. You can also request ahead of time for the diaper genie, which is super clutch.
That's so great.
Stink it up. Oh my God. It's like a lifesaver. Yeah. You can request all of those things ahead of time, but then you can check out from guest services, the bottle warmer, the bottle sanitizer, the umbrella stroller. And there is a deposit on certain things, but big tip with that, go the first day, because on a 7-night cruise, I think it was earlier this year, I made the mistake of like, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. And I went at like noon on day 2 and they were like, oh, this is the last bottle warmer on the ship. And I was like, holy moly, what would we have done? Yeah. So like they don't have unlimited quantities. Go when you get on the ship and ask for that at guest services.
Yeah, we were so lucky that for some reason my son never had warm, maybe we ran out once or something, but then he had room temperature, but never warm milk. So when he was still in bottle stages and it was the heating, we didn't have to worry about it, which made traveling easier. So parents, there's another tip. Get your kid off the warm milk. I'm just kidding.
It does help truly. And one more thing I'll tell you too, that I get asked about a lot. We do bring our Hatch sound machine onto the ship with us. There is, I don't know if it's like a recent change, but there is a note on Disney Cruise Line that specifically calls out sound machines and like needing to be inspected. It has happened to us one time where we got to the room, opened the suitcase, and there was a note in there that says that something was pulled for inspection. And it's the sound machine. Obviously, there's nothing dangerous about the sound machine, but sometimes people that don't know sound machines like have to look at them and make sure. So it was delivered to us like during dinner that night in the room with a sticker that said like all clear, and like it was put right back in our room. So we have not had any issues bringing our like full-blown Hatch sound machine, not a little portable one, like the true full one, onto the ship.
I wonder if Hatch, and I don't know this company, but I wonder if they have an app that has a mobile sound that basically makes the same sound as the sound machine.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you can also just YouTube white noise and screen record it.
Oh, you could do that.
That's how we get Miss Rachel on the ship. We have her screen recorded, by the way.
There are a ton of white noise apps.
Yeah.
And like if anybody uses the Calm app for other reasons, they also have like a white noise. And so, yes, we use those.
Yeah, there's plenty of other ways.
Yeah. But Disney basically does have, it's basically if you plug it in, they want to inspect it because of fires.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm glad that yours has passed inspection every time.
Yep, we've had no issues.
Okay, I think that's it. Look at us. We did it before bedtime. Thank you for coming back on again.
Thank you for having me. This is always so fun, and I love talking about cruises. So right up my wheelhouse.
I love it. And so I assume you don't have any other cruises planned because
we don't. We'll probably do one in 2025. Who knows what it'll be? I'm starting to get a little tinkering. I'll be honest with you. I'm getting a little tinkering for a transatlantic. It's just, I'm starting to feel it in my bones, but next fall, I think is going to be a Disneyland trip for us.
Okay.
There's some things that, my husband's a cast member and he works on some West Coast stuff that he's like wanting to go out there and see, specifically next fall. So that might mean we have to take a Disney cruise earlier in the year, maybe for my husband's birthday in April or something, but we'll see. We'll see what pops up for cast member rates and we will go with the flow, go with the wind. But yeah, once both of my kids, I think, turn 3 and can go to the kids club, I think we're going to have a transatlantic in our very near future in the next 2 years.
And you have to do it before. Well, I mean, Liliana can skip kindergarten for a bit, but man, school's intense nowadays.
School's intense, but she's also she's technically on the older end. So theoretically, she has 2 more years of daycare.
Oh, nice.
So we might be able to squeeze one in in that final year when she's 4. We'll see.
We did the Panama Canal that year. So
okay.
It was the spring before he would have started kindergarten in the fall. So it was so great.
Yeah, none but who knows? Maybe we'll get Treasure FOMO. Some of my best friends from college just booked a cruise on the Treasure for next year. And I'm like, ooh, that would be fun to join you.
See,
I don't want to pay full price, but if I have to, maybe I will. We'll see.
Then you get the benefit of having the longer cruise, but having that style of ship.
Yes. And I'm really excited that the Treasure is doing 7 nights. I'm thrilled.
Yeah. So we've talked briefly about Instagram. Where can people find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, it's my first name and last name, which is Lindsay DiPonzio, LINDSAY DIPONZIO. I am on Instagram. I am also on TikTok. Not super active on there anymore, but same usernames on both. So come check it out.
And when we do the post for this episode, we will tag her so that it's easier to find her as well. So thank you for coming on again.
Thank you for having me. It's always so fun to talk about cruising, and thank you to everybody who listened. I never know. I'm like, do people actually want to hear me talk? So thanks for listening when I'm a guest on this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Thank you. Thank you to our guests for listening. Okay, that'll do it for this episode of the DCL Podcast. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show. Once again, we want to thank Lindsay for coming on and sharing her and her family's experience on the Disney Wish. You can follow Lindsay at all social media at Lindsay DiPonzio. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review for Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.